Hey you guys, so for a while now I wanted to record a video of how you can create and deploy a LiveKit AI voice agent. And in today's video I will be doing exactly that. I will be showing you how you within a matter of minutes can have your agent up and running. And what is very interesting about this build is that this is going to be essentially completely free to install, to deploy, and to run. Well, maybe beyond just like using the OpenAI API key, which you can only acquire if you have certain credits uploaded into your developer dashboard. But essentially all the other components are going to be either completely free, forever free, or they will have certain demo credits in the accounts right after you register so that you can start playing with the system. And then if you decide to go forward with this, or if your volumes are big enough, then you would need to start paying for these services and API keys. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Konstantin. I run Aminati AI, which is an agency specializing in creating voice agents for businesses for various purposes like receptionists, for taking inbound calls, for placing outbound calls like lead pre-qualification, lead generation agents, and obviously as well anything that is a reminder or lead revival campaigns where businesses have some dormant leads or some people in their clients in their lists or in their CRMs that they haven't contacted for quite a long time, and they would like to convert those leads into paying customers again and to kind of extract some revenue from these pools of dormant leads. So essentially what you see here on screen right now is a website of the LiveKit project, and as they claim themselves, they are a provider that instantly transports audio and video between LLMs and your users. So also to keep the excitement going, let me just mention that LiveKit is the provider of technology and the transportation of audio used by OpenAI in their advanced voice mode, which to me feels like a very significant thing and adds weight to LiveKit as well. So what we're aiming to have by the end of the tutorial is a fully functional AI voice agent that you can speak to, and the components, the accounts that you need to have pre-registered in some way or another are the LiveKit Cloud, the Oracle Cloud, the OpenAI platform account for getting the OpenAI API key, the Deepgram account, and the Cartesia account. There's another component also involved in this build, and that is going to be the LiveKit provided example voice agent that we will be deploying to the Oracle Compute instance. And essentially it's the code provided by LiveKit itself. So we don't have to code anything and write from scratch. So there will be a procedure, and part of this tutorial is going to be dedicated to actually deploying exactly this voice agent to Oracle Compute instance and running it exactly as it is provided by the repo, because it's actually run ready, so we can just deploy it and have fun playing with it. So just to touch quickly, the agent itself is going to be this much Python code. It's very simple. LiveKit provides a lot of code underneath this example agent. So the whole orchestration layer of involving Deepgram, OpenAI, Cartesia, and weaving that together into a functional component is all handled by the code provided by LiveKit itself. So we will only need to deploy this agent, and there's also going to be some environmental variables, the API keys, that we will need to provide to this build for it to run. So that is another building block. Now let's quickly look into, again, what is it that we will be potentially needing. And there are two additional things that we will need besides the API keys and the accounts for these providers, and that is the public key or the SSH public key that you can get from your Mac with a simple terminal command like this. Again, we will touch on that within the tutorial itself. And then there's going to be a cloud-init script that we will use to automatically create, run, and initialize the cloud compute instance on Oracle that will have the LiveKit agent already running on it when it spins up. Essentially, we will just be providing some additional keys here, and that is going to be it. It's quite magical, guys. So let's go for a ride and let's see what we end up with within this tutorial. So first things first, one component that we will need is a LiveKit account. I've started and pre-registered the account itself, but I haven't created any of the apps before this video. So I will just call it tutorial. Let's even call it basic agent. Let's hit continue. So it will ask us a bunch of questions about like, where do you come from? What are you going to be using the agent for? All of that stuff. So it's just me. My role is software engineering. No, I'm not looking for alternatives. I'll be using OpenAI. I will be using Cartesia. I will be using Deepgram if it's here. Okay, good stuff. So what am I kind of application I'm building is going to be a telephony app, because later in the following tutorials we will be connecting it to an actual Twilio number, so we can not just call the agent on the web, but we can also call it via the phone line. So what are you interested in LiveKit? Yeah, it's open source ecosystem. Let's keep it like that. And how did you hear about LiveKit? Let's just select search engine. Okay, submit and get started. So as soon as this finishes, we're going to have the LiveKit dashboard in front of us. So what you guys can see here is that any of the agents that you're going to be creating in LiveKit Cloud are going to be listed in this box here. So we have the basic agent pre-selected right now. So we don't have any settings to tweak or to change in LiveKit itself, besides clicking on settings, clicking on keys, and then copying and pasting some parameters from here into the cloud-init script that we will be using when deploying the agent code into the Oracle Compute Cloud. So let's click copy here. Let's go into Notion and let's replace this URL here. Let's copy the API key and let's replace this one, and let's reveal the secret and copy it and replace this portion here as well. Okay, so for the LiveKit setup, this is the only thing that we need to do. So we needed to register the account in LiveKit Cloud, create our first agent here, or what is called a profile, and copy the keys that we will be using when deploying the actual logic or the actual orchestration code for the agent itself into Oracle Cloud. Okay, next what we want to do is we want to then copy the API key from the OpenAI. So I have a bunch of keys here. I will just add another one. I will name it LiveKit demo. Let's keep it like that. Create. Let's copy this key. And again, inside Notion, we're just going to replace the OpenAI API key here. Obviously, I will delete all of these keys and all of these profiles after the tutorial goes live. Okay, so next we have two more things, the Cartesia and Deepgram API key. Let's start with Deepgram. Okay, let's go to here, API keys. Let's create a new API key. Let's call it LiveKit basic agent. It's expiration never. Create the key, copy it from here, got it. Update the key here, Deepgram. And now for the Cartesia as well. Okay, let's navigate to Cartesia. We don't have any keys. Let's create a new one. Let's call it LiveKit basic demo. Create, copy the key, just copy here, and add it again into this section here. So we have the Cartesia key as well set. Okay, good stuff. So I think we are all set up in terms of the credentials. Now let's proceed with getting the public key from the computer. This is the step that was preceding this one. So let's go ahead and do that. So the way you get the public key from your computer is you would need to use a terminal window on your Mac. So let me launch that. And essentially you can either copy this command from here using the copy button, paste it, and this is the key that you need to then copy and update the key in this box. Or in your case, you will not have edit permissions for the Notion page that I will share with you. So you will have to do that elsewhere on your computer in a note somewhere where you can save the text strings in a document, in a Notion page, like you can do this by just starting to add a new block here, slash code, add the code block, and inside of it, just paste the key so you can have quick access to it, just like that. Okay, good stuff. So we have the key here, we have the cloud-init script. Let's quickly go through at a high level what the script does. This is a YAML configuration that any Linux server, when it's being spun up, you can pass this configuration to it so that when it initializes, when it first comes to life, then it will execute the cloud-init script, and within it we have multiple configurations passed to it. Like the one that we just been updating, this is essentially just updating the file that is going to be located at this location here in home ubuntu.env.local. And this is the config file of the environmental variables that will be used by the LiveKit agent on that server to run and to connect to the LiveKit cloud using these credentials. And using these API keys, it will be able to connect to Cartesia, Deepgram, and OpenAI for the services required in the orchestration process of the agent itself. Now we're also adding things like the configuration for running that LiveKit agent as a service on the server, so that even if it restarts, it will spin up the agent again, and you will be able to keep using the agent even if your server restarts. And in here, the section run commands, this is just essentially some additional parameters that we need to execute, some additional commands to have the whole thing being ready. So as soon as the server finishes initializing, we will actually have the full setup up and running, connected to the LiveKit cloud, so we can just press the button and start talking with the agent. Okay, so this is the case, this is the situation here. So let's look at LiveKit again. So we have that done. In the LiveKit agent, we have that done. Next thing we want to do is we need to go ahead and create the instance inside Oracle. Again, you would go and create the account for yourself. You would need to provide certain credentials about yourself, validate the account, maybe supply the credit card as well. It's not needed to take the payments, but it is needed to have the account functional. Now in here, when you are already in the Oracle Cloud dashboard, you would hit create instance. Before we even do that, let's just, I will show you how you can navigate to this place. That is into this hamburger menu, compute, instances. Now when you're here, you just create an instance. Let's call it LK basic agent. So it's going to be under the company Aminati. Now another thing that we need to do, like placement, just keep it like that. Whatever region you're going to be registering for, it's good. Image and shape, let's edit that. This is something that we need to change. We're going to go for Ubuntu, and we're going to select the canonical Ubuntu 24.04 minimal. This is the one that we need. Now don't change the shape. This one is always free eligible, meaning that it will not be charging you, Oracle will not be charging you for this instance, even when you end with your free trial. So this is a completely forever free compute that you can get from Oracle. Amazing. Next thing that you want to do is paste the public key. This is something that we have pre-generated in this step here using the terminal. So I will just copy this key here and I will add it into this box as my SSH key. So what this is essentially, this is the key that will allow you to access this server and to do stuff on it via terminal. So this is the only way you can get into the server within this setup. So it's very important that you do not skip this and you provide your public key from your Mac. Now one more step that we need to do is show the advanced options, and in here we need to select paste the cloud-init script. And this is the instruction that will tell the server everything it needs to do in order to get your agent up and running in its entirety, the whole thing. So let's go back to Notion and let's copy the cloud-init. Just bear in mind that before you can do that, you need to provide all the correct credentials in this section here. Okay, let's copy that, paste it here, and that's it. Let's create it. So as you can see, guys, I got this message that says that I need to upgrade to a paid account. So what I did is I actually reached the limit of the free cloud compute instances. So I just deleted one. So let's try to hit the create button again, and let's see if it's gonna do that. Still not. I guess we'll need to wait a little bit for the LiveKit server that I had previously running to terminate. I think it's terminated. So let's see if we can do this again. Create. Still no go. Okay, let's up the limits in this case. So I'm gonna change the shape in this tutorial to a different one so that it is no longer going into the always free eligible, just for the demonstration. But for you, it's going to actually work as I initially displayed. So I'm gonna change the shape from being, in this case, just the one. Let's just up the number of memory to this one. Let's select the shape and let's try and hit the create, and let's see what we're gonna come up with. Okay, so good stuff. We have progressed. But for you, again, just to mention, if you select that shape that I've shown you in the first part of the tutorial, and if you follow the instructions for setting up this instance, you will have exactly the shape that you need to select, and it's going to be forever free. But you have a limit of, let's say, maybe 2 or 3 of these running in parallel, so you might hit that bottleneck, and in that case you would have to create a different account on Oracle Cloud to be able to do that. Okay, good stuff. So this instance is open to access via SSH, so we can SSH into that. Now, you don't have to do that yourself, but just to give you a visual and to demonstrate what is happening behind the scenes, let me copy this IP address of the cloud compute instance. Let's go to terminal and let's try to log into that. So what I need to do is type SSH Ubuntu and the IP address. So yes, we want to log into it. Let's clear the screen and let's see the logs under bar log cloud-init output log. And this is what you see here on screen right now is the initialization process of the Linux machine that we can observe just to pinpoint the exact moment when the initialization is going to be complete, and whole of the machine, all of the Linux operating system, including the agent framework from LiveKit and the agent itself, have been initialized, installed, and are ready for us to test. So let's just look at this thing, and you can see this cloning into home Ubuntu LiveKit agent. That is where it's grabbing the information from the LiveKit repo. Now it is initializing the agent itself. It is downloading the files and the libraries required for the agent to run. Now, as soon as it does that, it will also run another script that is downloading the files for the turn taker and the noise cancellation, all of that stuff. And quite soon it should be actually ready to roll. Yep, so we have all the components downloaded. Now let's give it a bit of time to just initialize the whole thing. Okay, good stuff. So while we do that, actually, let's do another thing so that we can save us all a bit of time. So one thing that you need to do in order to start testing your agent is actually to initialize a sandbox. Now, sandbox is not deployed on the LiveKit cloud under your project or your agent by default. And in some cases, I see it's just not going into sandbox. So let's see if we can do that. LiveKit project. Let's just manually replace overview with sandbox. Let's see if that works. Okay, great. So visiting that URL is loading up a page like this, where you have these different, let's say, pre-configured apps provided by LiveKit that you can deploy directly on the LiveKit cloud, so you don't have to host them yourself. These are pre-hosted apps that are already connected with your project or with your agent inside LiveKit cloud that you can start playing with. So we are interested in this voice assistant front end, so let's click on that. And what this gives you is this run in sandbox button. If you click on that, it is essentially going to deploy, you can see your sandbox apps. This is what it comes up with. We can close this window. This is not needed. And essentially to test your agent, what you need to do is just click on the launch button. And that's it. So we're going to get a screen where we can start the conversation with the agent. And that will start streaming the audio from this front-end app provided by LiveKit into the LiveKit server that will then try to invite your worker or your agent that was just deployed to the Oracle Compute instance to start processing that audio, reason on it, orchestrate the whole three component system that is the speech to text, reasoning on that text, and then responding with the text and converting that back to speech, streaming it via LiveKit server, and then responding directly here. So yeah, good stuff. This is how you start playing with it. Okay, let's see how that works.
Hey, how can I help you today?
Yeah, hi. I just made a tutorial deploying a LiveKit agent. How do you feel about that?
That sounds great. Sharing knowledge is always beneficial. What's the main focus of your tutorial?
Yeah, I want to give the audience understanding of how to go about deploying a LiveKit agent to Oracle Cloud, and just to unblock them in understanding that this is not as complicated as it might seem.
That's a helpful topic. Simplifying the process can really assist others. Do you have any specific tips or steps you plan to highlight?
Yeah, I do, but let's discuss that next time. Thanks for your help.
Sounds good. Feel free to reach out anytime. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye. So essentially, that's it. That's the whole thing. Maybe as a final step, I will just show you guys how this looks when the agent is actually running on the backend. So inside terminal, let me clear this out. And if you run a command that is this sudo journal ctl u LiveKit agent -f, and that is going to be in the tutorial as well. That is essentially printing the logs of the agent when it's reasoning on what you're saying and trying to respond back. So your voice, whatever your input is going to be reflected in the logs. The behavior of the agent itself, like invoking any functions or reasoning on what you say or streaming the audio, is going to be coming here in the logs. Let's see this again. So you can see that it received the job request, then it initialized.
Could you please clarify what you mean by the job request?
Yeah, I'm just showing how you work from the back end of things. So yeah, displaying the logs of how you reason and how you see the phrases that I speak.
Understood. Feel free to continue, and I'll respond as best as I can.
And that's it. So essentially anything that I was saying, you're going to see it with the user transcript. You can see that the phrases that I speak and so on. So yeah, this is the whole thing. This is how you run a LiveKit voice agent. This is how you play with it. And this is how you do it essentially for free. With some prepaid credits. And in the next videos, I will be showing you guys how we can expand on this knowledge, how we can customize the prompt, how we can change the providers for text-to-speech, speech-to-text, the reasoning such as LLMs, and how we can connect various other things like phone lines via Twilio, how we can connect function calling, and a whole bunch of different other things. Now, thanks for watching. This has been Casey, and I'll see you in the next one.